Good evening, everybody. Welcome into the Auto Rhythm Fantasy Studios. I am Jamie. That is Eli over there on the other side.
It says play me.
It is it's a Wednesday, but don't play me like that, man. I mean, it's a booty Wednesday, but come on now.
Hump day.
Hmm.
I think we're a day away from Halloween, aren't we?
Welcome to my nightmare.
Oh, what was that? I mean, that was kind of. Did you just say that? You can't be saying things like that.
It's got a spooky background tonight. Usually we have our college football stars, but no, we got to celebrate a little bit. We're not, we're a weird crew, so we don't need no damn Halloween costumes. We wear costumes the other 364 days a year. So you know what? But if you haven't done so yet, go and like, subscribe, do all that good stuff. YouTube, we got some good YouTube shorts over there. Jay always organized the playlist so damn well over on YouTube, full length or shorts. Spotify, yeah, like LA Knight says. All the previous stuff's over on Spotify as well. That's my personal preference. I like listen. Sometimes I listen back to our stuff too, and some friends of ours as well, and their content. So good for the gym, drive, whatever. And then a few other platforms we're on as well. Jay, can you add to that at all? Did I do a good job? Did I feel the fuck? God, I need to hydrate now.
Welcome to my nightmare.
Yes, you did very well. But today, whenever you are listening to this, we're gonna give you we're gonna kind of just recap some of the games from the weekend that we saw. We'll get into waivers. Eli's got studs and duds, and he'll have a gold star player. So we'll do a little prop here. We'll do a couple props, and then squad blitz along the way, and then toward the end, we'll give you notable games to watch for this weekend. There's going to be a few good games for this weekend that probably more likely watch, and then forgot the other thing.
It's okay. It probably wasn't that important.
Probably not. I think that was everything. I think.
Oh man. Yeah. So what? You know what? Hell, let's get into it. What about week 9? Is there any of the games you'd like to start off with that they were like, damn, that was? I know there's a couple to choose from. We had Boise UNLV was pretty damn good last Friday.
Yeah, I did watch a little bit of that one. I mean, I was doing a few other things. I think it was like more of the second half. I'm like, screw it, I'm gonna turn something on. And I mean, Ashton struggled a little bit, but I mean, second half there, I mean, he actually turned it up a little bit, and actually, they barely like skipped out with a win. I mean, Williams on the other hand, I mean, he was running wild, scored a couple touchdowns, threw some touchdowns. So this game, it was a pretty damn close game. I was like, ooh, is the Broncos going to lose this one? Because I'm like, they would have lost this one, it would have been out of the playoff contentions for sure.
Oh yeah, and that would have opened the floodgates for a bunch of G5 teams. I mean, Joyce, Army, anybody, Washington State. So I would have opened the gates. UNLV, they were game, man. I think they're a damn good team. I don't even remember who their original quarterback was. That loser that was it Matt something? That loser that they're not making my NIL payments. I'm gonna transfer. I'm gonna. Like nobody misses you, dude. Hodge Malik Williams. Hodge Malik Williams is an absolute stud. I mean, he went toe to toe with Boise. So UNLV, I could see them winning 9 games. I mean, they could be a 9-3 team. UNLV is pretty damn good. Not Boise good, not quite, but they've been game, and both their losses have been close. Syracuse and Boise. So. That was a damn good game. That was a hell of a way to, kind of start the weekend off after that monstrosity on Thursday. Speaking of Syracuse. Ooh, ick.
Yep, it was pretty much 29-24 game. Ashton he had his, over 100 yards.
139 total yards.
Yeah.
139 total yards. Yep. That's a down game. That's a down game. He's not even this is how fucked up ESPN and all these big networks are. The guy has one like for his standards, one mediocre game, right? 139 yards total, like 128 rushing, I think. And immediately they jump Milrow, who's he's kind of mid. Cam, obviously, I love Cam Ward, but they jumped like at least 4 or 5 players right. Dylan Gabriel from Oregon, they at least jumped 4 or 5 players right by Ashton for the Heisman. So I think they're punishing him, and so the guy has an off game. I mean, it's not like he shit the bed and ran for 40 yards. I mean, come on now. I mean, so the big networks can stick it. He still had a damn good game. Without him, his 128 yards rushing, they wouldn't have beat UNLV. You know what I mean? So he has a big hand in winning these games. So
every single game that he's had, it's been over 100.
Over 100 yards. Yeah.
Yeah.
There's no fucking 39-yard game, 50-yard game. Everything's been triple digits with him. Did you catch any of that Syracuse Pitt game? That disaster? The fucking 3 pick sixes?
No, unfortunately, I did not. Unfortunately, I did not catch that game. Luckily, I didn't. I kind of went back. After I did a few things, I went back and kind of watched it a little bit. Went back and watched it rerun a little bit. But I'm like, because I actually started one of the guys that we are actually going to be talking about here tonight. So I actually started one of them. So I'm like, not the fancy points I was looking for, but I still got my fancy points. So I'm like, God damn it, dude. But he still got me 15 points. Unfortunately, I still won my freaking matchup. I was like, what? So I was happy about that situation.
Had to happen.
Happy.
So I actually had it. Everybody, let's eat them dubs with Jamie. Arthur.
I know we did. We didn't get to watch a lot of football on Saturday. I know we went out and hacked down some more trees and stuff like that over the weekend. And the game
fucking Paul Bunyan.
The game that I ended up watching before we ended up leaving was I actually started watching the Nebraska Ohio State game. So I know we talked about this game, even at the earlier of the season. You're like, well, hey, the Huskers were undefeated and they ended up having a couple losses. That meant, well, maybe this will be a game for them that'll be kind of like a test me game. Like, hey, we'll see if we got the stuff to be. At one time they were ranked, but they're not ranked anymore. But this was going to be we thought it was going to be a game, to kind of put them on the map. And the game was good. I figured Ohio State was actually going to blow these guys out, but that was not even the case. So Nebraska had some flops here and there, some things that were really, I'm like, what the hell are you guys doing? They scored some points. The downfall is that, right at the end there, the rookie quarterback, made some mistakes to, end the game, which was kind of just blah.
He throws some terrible balls.
Welcome to my nightmare.
be a lot of jigsaw tonight. I'll tell you what, there'll be a lot of saw. Yeah, he's a freshman.
It says play me.
But we played him.
Yeah. No, but he's a freshman. I gotta cut him a little slack, but I want to blacklist his ass. I wish he was a fucking sophomore or junior. I would blacklist his ass so fast. Raiola hasn't had a decent game in over a month. He really hasn't. It's been the 5 games Nebraska has, or at least 4 of the 5 have all been on defense.
Yeah,
and,
he hasn't had a passing touchdown since week 5. So
yeah, that's pathetic.
The last 3 games here, he hasn't done anything to get the spark the offense. Hasn't got the offense going. They had a little bit of the ground game, but other than that, I figured after they had their bye, they'd be coming out like, all right, guys, we need to get back on track. We need to because they were actually looking good. They were like, hey, I want to tune in and watch Nebraska. I'm like, now it's kind of like, dude, I'd rather go watch FAU, a G5 team, than Nebraska.
Yeah, that's how I feel too. And obviously, they need to get some guys in the portal. He doesn't have very many weapons. Is there really a skill position guy you'd want on Nebraska on your fantasy team? Exactly.
I think they will be getting some.
Dowdle's decent, but he's not. He'd be like a bench guy on your team. Like there's no skill position. They need help in the skill position, in Raiola's defense. So, but yeah, Nebraska, they'll beat UCLA this weekend, get the 6-3. But Ohio State, they got a big game with Penn State coming up. So we'll kind of see. Where they stack up. I mean, they went toe to toe with Oregon, could have won that game. So if I were a betting man, I'd say Ohio State's going to beat Penn State again. But so that's for those two teams. I don't know. Indiana keeps winning, 8-0, knocking off Washington. I mean, Washington they're not what they were last year, but they're not. The cupboard isn't completely bare. They got Denzel Boston, they got Jonah Coleman, Will Rogers, the quarterback. So I mean, they still got a few decent pieces. And Indiana just handled them. Not quite like they did in Nebraska, but I mean they went in, they stomped them out. Can this team make the playoffs? India. I mean, they're a nice. Jay, they got Michigan State coming up. This weekend. That's a win. Michigan State's mid. They're mediocre. So 9-0. I'm gonna, I'm gonna pull up. I'm gonna pull up Indiana's schedule here because I'm curious. I didn't think they'd go this long. I really, I didn't look into them more because
Michigan, and pretty much got back-to-back both Michigans. So, I mean, the Michigan State or Michigan is actually just only good for their defense. I mean, their offense really hasn't really done a whole lot. I know I think one of their QBs actually just retired from the game because he had some injuries back-to-back here. So there goes that. So the guy that I think they just put in for the relieve the freshman that wasn't really doing so hot. They actually so he actually I'm like, dude, they're gonna go back to just not really being anything, and they're gonna be just more run game from the looks of it, anyways.
I mean, Michigan wasn't doing much anyways. They were averaging like less than 100 yards passing a game. I mean, they've been atrocious through the air. Oregon's gonna toy with them this weekend. I mean, I think they're a 16-point favorite. Try 30. I mean, that could get ugly quick unless Michigan's defense is going to have to lock them down if they're having any chance to stay in that game. But
do you want to play a game?
You want to play a game? Michigan State. Yeah, Indiana. Back to Indiana. I know Rourke is he played, but I know he's kind of banged up a little bit with his thumb. The quarterback from Indiana. So, but I mean, overall, other than him, they got they got the James Madison coach who's a superstar now. The rest of the team is just firing on all cylinders, defense, rushing attack, everything. Michigan State, that's a win. Michigan, probably a win. They play Purdue. The only game you have to, I mean, that it comes down to Ohio State. I think if Indiana, if they can keep it competitive, like keep it within 7, I think they've got even if they lose, they've got a good chance to get in the playoffs. As an 11-1 at-large team, I think Indiana could get in, but they have to, obviously, they have to take care of business. They have to beat Michigan State. They have to beat Michigan, have to beat Purdue, and then they have to keep it at least close against Ohio State. And I think they'll get in.
Yeah, with their defense they got going on, I mean, there should be no way. I mean, they should be able to slow down Ohio State. I don't think there's going to be a lot.
Ohio State can't run. Ohio State can't run the damn football. It's Will Howard's they have like 2 NFL running backs. That's the fucked up part. They have 2 NFL running backs and a dual threat quarterback, yet they can't run the football.
I was just gonna say, I think the Michigan game is going to be probably a low scoring game because both defenses are pretty legit. So there probably won't be a lot of scoring up in that game. There probably is some ground and pounding up in there. I don't think that game's really going to be. I don't know what the over under on that one is, but I don't think there's going to be a whole lot of scoring in that game just because of the defenses. Then they got a bye after that, and then they got Ohio State and Purdue to wrap up the season. I mean, those are winnable games. I mean, Purdue is a winnable game. The only other game will be Ohio State. You know, I mean, Ohio State. We looked at what they were supposed to blow out freaking the Huskers. They really didn't do that. So I was like, well, what the hell? I mean, I figured this was that. I figured that was gonna be blowout. No, not at all.
No, I don't know. I don't know where you go with this conference. You know what I mean? Like Penn State, even if they lose to Ohio State, which they will, you know, if Penn State win 11-1, they're gonna get in. Like, how many fucking Big Ten teams are gonna get in this year? If Indiana goes 11-1 and keeps it close against Ohio State, they'll get in. That's 2. Oregon 3, Ohio State 4.
Well, hell, just think about freaking in the FCS. I was actually watching ESPN this morning or this evening here. Talking about like 24 odd teams getting into the chances of getting into the playoffs. You know, they were talking about the top 10 guys. You know, so
Don't give the FBS any ideas.
Hey, I'd rather see a 14 or 16 team playoff. Hey, which for me, I guess would be a, you know, it would bring more eyes to the game. But then you would have your people like, oh, that's way too many games. It's like, dude, it gives us more variety, more, you know, for us, you know, diehards that love college. It would give us more an opportunity to tune into games. You know, the ratings are more likely to go up. So in my eyes, hey, let's make the bracket a little bit bigger. I mean, it just gives more opportunity for different colleges to actually get in, you know, to actually win a natty. But then a lot of people are gonna play, well, you know, what about the G5 teams not being that great? I mean, so what? At least they'll get that spotlight. At least they can put, you know, see what they're made of. You know, maybe bring in some different talent. Maybe, who knows? Maybe that next year, maybe Tulane to be, you know, maybe a Tulane to be the one to get a natty or something. It just gives it brings a variety to the sport.
I'll be honest, I have no interest in seeing like a team like Navy. I'm trying to think of like some shitty, you know, one loss. Oh, what's up, Chris? Yeah, Trey Stewart. Hell yeah, he's balling. Yeah. How's Huff doing?
Well, I can give you that here in just a second.
Yes. Is it still? Yeah, Jay's going to give a score update of Liberty and Jack State.
Huff is doing. He's only have 15 yards passing, so not that great at the moment here.
He's kind of. But, he's banged up a little bit though. I mean, so he's playing through it. But it's a tough game tonight. I mean, Liberty. I expected more from Liberty, but
it's more of a ground game right now. Cooley's actually got he's got almost 100 yards. You know, almost 100 yards rushing and a touchdown. And, you know, Stewart.
Cooley's had a better season. Jay, Cooley's had a better season than Caden Salter. I mean, Salter's just kind of I don't know. He's disappointed. He was supposed to be a dark horse Heisman contender, and it just never happened this year. But you know, I don't know. Maybe Liberty can run the table, get a win tonight. Maybe they can go 11-1, and
this way. I mean, Jackson State. I mean, Jackson State can actually put up points. I mean, I know I've mentioned the quarterback before. I mean, he's averaging 30, you know, somewhere between 30, 40 fancy points per game. So I mean, there should be no issue.
30. He's over. I know he's over 31, Jay, a game.
Yeah, I know. That's what I'm saying. That's why I mentioned him, because I mean, he's either between 30 to 40 fancy points per game, because he's got some rushing upside to him too as well. So I mean, he's not like he's a baller.
We'll just go through just a quick synopsis of the rest of the top 25 or ish. Colorado now they beat Cincinnati 6-2, and they've only got one conference loss. So I mean, they're not technically out of the Big 12 race yet. I mean, they would need a lot of help, and obviously they lost to K-State. That doesn't help their cause. But you know, Colorado, I mean, it's good to see them ranked again. I think way better team than last year. SMU barely snuck by Duke, won in overtime there. Washington State, they're ranked again. You know, they snuck by San Diego State. So we know John Mateer is the #1 fantasy quarterback. Who would have expected that 9 weeks into the college season that you know, John Mateer from Washington State would be the #1 fantasy guy, especially since he's the guy that replaced Cam Ward. I love that little laugh sound effect. Miami rolled Florida State. What I told Jay, I said I wouldn't mention Florida State again, but what do you think of 1-7? Like how what a fuck, and it's not even DJU's fault anymore. He's hurt. I can't even put this on DJU anymore. He's hurt. This is pathetic. I mean, they're gonna get. I mean, they're gonna clean house after this year. The stench of this fucking team, this fucking probably 2-10 team, maybe 1-11. I don't know if they can win another game. Awful.
I don't think they will. I don't think they will. I mean, what's it? I think North Carolina. They play FSU this weekend. So
that's a loss. 1-8.
Yeah.
Go
So
down the
hopefully, Hampton comes in and tears them up pretty good. So yeah, it should. FSU.
Amari and Hampton, Jay. Amari and Hampton's gonna gouge that defense. You got him for a prop or on your fantasy team. Look out. Probably like 160 and 2 touchdowns.
Yeah, more than likely, because their defense really sucks. I actually did. We talked about Morris from North Texas here last week too, as well. Mentioned him about being a fantasy starter. I thought he was actually going to be a dud here this weekend against Tulane, but he actually put up good. He put up
3 touchdowns, 3 passing.
So he put up almost 500 yards passing. 450 is exact, 3 touchdowns. So I thought he was actually going to I thought it was going to be a sit for me this week, but he didn't. But Hughes ran all over them. So I mean, if you had Hughes in on your fantasy rosters, you were like smiling grin to grin. You were like, so I was happy about that.
Guys. Yep.
So I was happy that Hughes ran all over him, and Tulane is now eligible for a bowl game. And hopefully, I mean, they're still in contentions of maybe almost being ranked. So I mean, there's still parts of that team. They're still good. They only have 1 loss on the season.
They have
2 actually 2. So,
but the K-State loss. I mean, they kept it close. They only lost by 7. So the Kansas State loss. That's not a bad loss. That's the number 17 team in the country. The Oklahoma, it isn't aging very well because Oklahoma's kind of junk. But so those are Tulane's 2 losses. So the bigger programs they played, they lost to. But if they can handle business in their conference and go 10-2 here, run the table maybe. Yeah, they definitely. It'll just improve the bowl game. It'll help recruiting. It'll help NIL. It'll help a bunch of stuff if Tulane can go 10-2, and especially after last year, with Michael Pratt and Mekhi Hughes, just. They're running a really good operation down in Tulane, and they're competitive too. A lot of these other programs about their size, North Texas and
I think the only challenge that they'll have is Navy. Charlotte, they should be able to beat them.
No, Jay, I checked out of the hotel the minute that fucking Notre Dame Navy game was over. I checked out of the hotel. I had to take a shower to wash the stench off that. I was talking Navy up. I was talking up Blake Horvath. I was like, oh, this team, damn right. They're right there with Army. No, Army's going to kill them. I mean, they're not on the same level as Army. Army's we'll see what they do against Notre Dame too in a couple weeks, but I think straight up, I mean, they can't compete with Bryson Daly and Army. So, Navy shit the bed. They went as far as they could, but I think the wheels might fall off now a little bit. I think they were exposed.
They got Temple, Navy, and then Memphis might be the only challenge there at the end. But I mean,
Tulane, Memphis. That's going to be one of our 4 games of the week. That's
more than likely.
That.
Yeah. Other than that,
Mekhi Hughes and Mario Anderson. Ooh.
Yeah. Yep. I did watch. I did watch a little. I did watch a little bit of that. The Colorado game. I think it was a moment where Sanders was almost injured, but I think he ended up coming back too as well.
Yeah, he shook that off, and Shador,
Yeah.
he put his hat in the ring. If they can run the table, go 10-2, I think he could be a dark horse. I guess not dark horse. I guess the big networks like him, but I think he could be a top 3 Heisman guy if they go 10-2, even if they don't make it to the playoffs or make the win the Big 12 or anything. Shador is going to be right there with Cam. Hopefully Ashton has an explosive game. I think, what are they playing? San Diego State.
Who's that?
Boise. think they're playing San Diego State.
Yeah. This
I think
weekend.
they lost to Washington State. San Diego State's, they're So I'm hoping Ashton can get back on track at a 200-yard rushing game just to put his hat back in the ring for the Heisman. Oh, Pete, it's what's that? You came here to do a little early trick or treating with us, but sorry, Pete, I ain't got no
nightmare.
Yeah, welcome to my nightmare. Got no Snickers, ain't got no Milky Ways. Yeah. Jamie's
no shades tonight.
changing it up.
Yeah, I'm changing it up this time. Change it up. I'm kind of scary looking already.
Yeah, I'll put my hood up like I'm fucking Anakin Skywalker or some shit.
Just a quick the last quick game here
On
we'll
the
wrap
dark
up with
side.
was the Washington State San Diego game, because I was actually watching that game. I figured San Diego State was actually going to lose, or Washington was actually going to lose. Their defense stopped. I think they ended up getting an interception or one of those two things, and then they actually kicked the field goal to actually right there down at the end. It is very spooky.
It says play me.
But other than that, I was pretty happy with that. I mean, Washington State winning, they're 7-1 on the season. I mean, even after Cam Ward actually did leave, so I mean, they're playing quite well, even though that Materi is actually kind of their run passer. He kind of does a little bit of both anyway.
He does everything. Number one. Let me repeat that, Jay. The number one fantasy quarterback in all of FBS.
Well, when this guy gets you rushing touchdowns and passing touchdowns at the same time, sign me up.
Yeah, he was a goddamn waiver for at least the first couple weeks of the year. You could have had him for free. Could have had this man, and he's a sophomore. So he's good for everything. Dynasty, year-to-year redraft. I mean, best ball. The guy's been a monster. Guy's been a fantasy monster. Him and Chandler Morris from North Texas they've been off the charts. And then up there in the top 5, you got Shador. We expected him to be up there. Cam Ward, guys like that. But some of these, kind of smaller school guys, it's been very impressive.
It is.
Our guy Alonzo Barnett, he's still in the fantasy top 10. I think he's number 8 or number 6 for quarterback. So Alonzo Barnett's still having a monster year too. James Madison's just kind of fell off the radar a little bit since they aren't undefeated anymore, but still a damn good.
I haven't watched any Jamie. I haven't seen how Barnett has been doing.
Well, that's why you didn't. I was talking them up. They were undefeated. The Dukes were 4-0, and they were rolling along. And Alonzo was like basically the player of the week in the country for like 2 weeks in a row, and he was the talk of the town. And they've kind of just went into hibernation. But they're in the conference play now. I think JMU will get back on track. Their defense is still playing good. So a lot to like with that team. Maybe they go 10-2. So you know what? I'm gonna hand out you have any other thoughts on week 9, Jakes? I'm about ready to hand out a gold star. I'm about ready to right there. Right on my sheet.
Be my guest.
There we go. We haven't talked a lot of Arkansas on this show. They're actually decent. I think they're 5-3. So for the SEC, that ain't bad. I mean, their SEC is stacked. That's not a nothing to snuff at, being 5-3. Taylen Green, this is definitely a guy we haven't talked about. We haven't talked about him for players to watch. We haven't talked about him for props. We haven't talked about him for waivers. I mean, nothing. This is the first mention of this guy. But he had a big game against Mississippi State this past weekend. Over 300 yards passing, 5 passing touchdowns, 1 rushing touchdown. So, I mean, if you accumulate the almost 400 total yards, 6 touchdowns. So that's kind of made up his whole season. That's why we haven't talked about him. Because this is pretty much half his season right here was in one game. Pat, he's a little bit under 61% completion, 11 passing touchdowns, 7 picks. He does give you a lot in the rushing game, though. So if you did have him in fantasy, he'd probably be your backup quarterback, I'm guessing.
I think from the looks of it, he'd be kind of more of your kind of a bye week fill-in kind of guy. I mean,
Yep.
A couple touchdowns in the rushing,
maybe a deeper league, maybe a deeper league backup or like a 10-12 team bye week guy.
Yeah. I mean, just look. I mean, at least he's getting a one touchdown every week at least. So I mean, that's the upside at least a little bit
on average.
at least. Yeah.
and
I mean,
almost 400 yards rushing, 5 touchdowns on the ground. So he's not in passing yards. I think his bugaboo, if he could get those passing touchdowns up, he'd be one of the top fantasy guys in the country. If he could just, instead of having 11 touchdowns, if he had 17, I mean, he would easily be in the top 10 easily. With almost over 2,000 yards passing, but it's just the passing touchdowns is what's keeping him from taking that next step in terms of the fantasy world. But Arkansas, I thought I'd give them a little love. I mean, it's not a team we talk about a lot here. There's not a lot of waiver guys, that we talk about from Arkansas. So thought I'd give them some love, and they look good. I caught a little bit at the gym of the Mississippi State game, so and they look damn good there. So that's a positive. Jay, that's a positive, because I'm about to get negative. I'm about to get real negative. I feel like I should put these on for this.
Holy fucking shit!
That's what I said. No. This is, I swear, Kyle McCord was wearing shade. He had to, it was something, man. He was blinded. I mean, he got the green mist in the eyes. He wasn't seeing those Pitt defenders. The guy had 3 pick sixes. 3 pick sixes. I can't even make this up. I looked up at I was at the gym last Thursday night, and I was like, what the fuck is this? I thought it was the 4th quarter. I'm like, okay, maybe it's a blowout. It was like 35-0. I'm like, oh shit, okay. I thought Syracuse would be a lot more competitive. Wrong. It was the fucking first half. I was like, what is this? What is this Mickey Mouse shit?
He was totally Donald Ducking it.
Yeah. Bombs away, fucking, yeah, five. Yeah, look at the stat line. He did get Jay 15 fantasy points in his defense, and that's just because the passing yards. He got 321 passing yards and 1 rushing touchdown. So he salvaged it a little bit if you had him in fantasy. But the 5 interceptions is just for a guy at his level. I mean, Kyle McCord is one of the leading, in terms of passing yards. He's like a top 5 quarterback in the country. It's beneath him at his level and his skill set to be having 5 interceptions. Just pathetic. But throughout the year, a little bit under 64% passing, almost 2,500 yards. So he's probably still 5th or 6th in the country. I'd have to double check on that in passing yards. 19 passing touchdowns. The interceptions, I need to take these off so I can see this. My God. Look at this. He coming into the game, he had 19 and 6, and now it's 19 and 11. One more 5 interception game, and he'll probably lead the country with 16 picks. Just awful. Just awful. And you wonder why Ohio State let him go. Sometimes like he's played great. He's played great for Syracuse this year. They've been very competitive, beat UNLV, which is a damn good team in my view. I mean, he's looked good, really good at times, throwing the ball, he's been slinging it everywhere. But I mean, this was trash. I mean, this was absolute trash. And on the flip side, because this dummy had 5 interceptions, if you had shares or used props or anything for Desmond Reed, he was useless. He was useless.
I got it. I know
What's
who
that?
this guy. I know who this guy represents. This is a Kirk Cousins reborn.
Yeah, he is. He even looks like him. Same size. Can't move.
So I mean this thing about like the yards wise. I mean, he's got 700 300-yard games. I mean, I think the only downfall with him. I mean, Pitt. I had to go back and kind of skim over the game here real quick. But I mean, the Pitt's D was actually, the offensive line could not hold up to their defense, so they were rushing him, bull rushing him. So he was making some indecisive
decisions.
Yeah, some horrible decisions, tossing the ball into tight situations, and a lot of it. One of them, he was actually trying to throw a dump off to the running back, but it hit him in the back of the pads. The freaking defender, the Pitt's D saw it, grabbed it, snagged it, ran in for a touchdown. So I'm just like, I mean, the game wasn't that bad. Okay, I mean, he did hit. There were some good plays in there, some good intermediate catches from some of the wide receivers. Don't get me wrong about that. I guess this is going to put it this way. I mean, this is a good check me game for McCord. You're like, all right, dude, I can't be throwing interceptions like this anymore. I got to tone that down a little bit. Toss it, a little bit, makes some good decisions when it comes to the ball, tossing the ball down the field. Even if it's, he's like, okay, not a good read, it's going to second read. He has been good. He's only had, besides this 5 interception game, he's only tossed, like 4 games. There was a couple games where he tossed two interceptions back to back. But other than that, the touchdowns they haven't been that many. Not that many, not that much. Let's put it that way.
Yeah, and there's, there's a lot of these players that I like. Like the cupboard's not bare at Syracuse. They got some decent skill position guys. I'm about ready to cough up the bullshit.
What?
Welcome to my nightmare.
Yeah, this was my nightmare. Crying on the inside. You thought that was a little dark and ominous. Well, wait till you see. Yeah, wait till you see this. Look who's been blacklisted. I got the marker here. Just isn't that like in pirate lore? Isn't that like a bad thing if somebody gives you a piece of paper with an X on it? Does that mean like death or something? Because I think that's what happened to Luther Burden. I think he got the little X on the sheet before the season started. Because I don't know what the hell is going on with him. He's not hurt. Kind of an Ollie Gordon. He's like the Ollie Gordon of receivers. Okay, he's still probably going to be at the worst probably a second round pick. In the 2025 NFL draft. But god damn. Eli, number 32 fantasy receiver. He's not having too bad of a year. He was number 1. He was number 1, almost universal. Maybe he had a few pundits that had like T-Mac or a couple other guys, but Luther Burden, he was the belle of the ball. He was everybody's darling before the year. If you looked at any of the college fantasy material, magazines, anything, you saw Missouri before the year. It wasn't Brady Cook on the programs. It wasn't Noel. Can't even think of the other running back right now. But it wasn't any of those guys. It was fucking Luther Burden. Oh, Carroll, the other running back. Yeah, it wasn't any of these guys on the front brochure. If you were a Missouri fan, it was Luther Burden. Okay. Let me go over the stats here because I'm getting sick just talking about it. I was Kyle McCord. Now I'm getting downright ill. So far this year, he's been efficient. If you think about it, like 40 catches on 54 targets, that's not terrible. So he's catching most of the stuff coming his way. But 4 touchdowns, that's beneath him. 450 yards, 4 touchdowns, only a little over 11 yards a catch. That's just where he was being hyped at. If this was like whatever, like a random Arkansas, maybe the Arkansas number 2 receiver, nobody would say anything, right? This would just be decent year, But like, dude, he was number 1 on a lot of people's draft boards for receiver. Like some people had him over T-Mac.
Yeah, for sure. It was him between him and T-Mac were the guys first coming off the boards. Then I think there was like Jaden Royals, from Utah. He was another guy that was kind of coming off the board. Yeah. So pretty much, if you think about it, Luther's only had 100-yard game on the season, and he only has 4 touchdowns. That's kind of sad. That's kind of sad.
Yeah. He's got more fumbles than he does 100-yard games this year. And you know what? And we're calling him out tonight because last year, 86 catches on 122 targets, which 122 targets is, that's a damn good number for a college receiver. This ain't fucking Justin Jefferson here. This is a college receiver getting that many looks. Had over 1,200 yards receiving, 9 touchdowns. The touchdowns were a little low. So, maybe if he has a couple big games, he can still get to that number, this year and match that. But the yards per catch, almost 3 yards more per catch last year. And then instead of 1 game, he had 6 games over 100 yards. And, he was – that's nothing to snuff at. He was the first-team all-SEC receiver. He was one of the top guys in the conference. He was on draft boards. They had him as almost a consensus top 10 pick. So it's just been, well, Missouri. Well, you can blame it on whatever. Okay, Missouri. They're still a mid-pack SEC. Sometimes upper mid-pack SEC team. They got players there. Okay, I mean, I know
think about
Brady
what he
Cook.
did last. Think about what he did last year. He had at least 5 or 6, 100-yard games at least last year. I mean, there shouldn't have been that. There shouldn't have been that much that has changed with him and the offense. But I mean, besides bringing in a couple of transfers here and there, you would think that Luther would be like, all right, I'm still going to ball out. I don't. Maybe unless he's maybe just toning it down so he doesn't get hurt for the NFL draft. I mean,
That's the only
maybe
thing
that's
that's the only thing I can think of. It's like him and Ollie are like, well, we know we're worst case scenario, we're day 2 guys. Like we don't need to try too hard here. We're not going to the playoffs.
Maybe that is the case. So if, with seeing low productions and the numbers and stuff like that, maybe they're only putting out there what they want scouts to see. They're kind of like, all right, well, here's what I can kind of do. You saw my last year's tape. You can look at that. This year I don't really have to try too hard. I don't. Maybe that is the case when it comes to fantasy. I mean, just thinking about that in general, he's last year was better than what this year was. So I mean, they brought in Marcus Carroll from I think it was at Georgia State. So I figured he would have had a little, some, attitude, but I figured he would have brought some game to their, rush game to their offense. That really hasn't been really there at all either. So I had high hopes for him, but it's not that great.
You can speculate. We don't have insider information, obviously. Like we're not boys with hey, Missouri wide receiver coach, what's going on with Luther? Hey, we're not DMing, hey Luther, what why's your production down? So we don't have any insider information. This is just from an outsider's perspective, fantasy owners, ourselves included. I don't have any, luckily I don't have any shares of Luther, but I've noticed I've been keeping tabs on him. I saw him muff a punt in like I forget which SEC game it was, but I know it cost them. I think Missouri ended up losing that game. He muffed a punt. Just a lot of like boneheaded moves by a guy that, I mean, he was so smooth last year. It's like Ollie. It's just like it's like he fell off. A lot of guys ascend. You think about it. Like I know he had his baseline was like a little over 1,200 yards. Sometimes when a guy pops his like junior, senior year, his sophomore, junior year is like something along the lines of maybe 700, like Malik Neighbors. Didn't he have like 700 yards or something in 2022? Like something like that. And then 2023, he just exploded. He had his monster year, and then obviously he was drafted, by the Giants. But yes, please help the cause. Like, subscribe, do all that stuff. Helps the YouTube algorithms, helps us out. Spread the good word if you like our stuff. If you know anybody in your family, friends, anybody that follows this stuff. I mean, we're passionate guys, and I'm very passionate about Luther Burden because he's been junk. He's been terrible. To me, he's the Ollie. Like Ollie Gordon's been playing, and he's had a few moments here and there. Like Luther's had a few moments. Like that Vanderbilt game was pretty damn good, but just not up to snuff. Just not up to par where he should be. In that probably 1,400 yards. At the end of the year, we should be looking up. Okay, this guy's got 1,400 yards, 12, like 11, 12 touchdowns. That's what we should be looking at.
Yeah, I mean 12, 1,200, maybe 6, 7 touchdowns. If that or whatever it is. I mean, he should be having more than what he, with this 4 touchdowns. I mean, this Mizzou's offense is actually ranked too. And I think they're 24th or something. So I mean, if they lose this, I mean, they're out of the top 25. They're skimming. They're skimming. They're just kind of like they're kind of on the same line as Michigan is. I mean, Michigan was on the they've been ranked for so long, and they're like, okay, well, this team doesn't. I mean, they're not a ranked fucking team. I mean, all right, it's time to get Mizzou up out of here. Let's get some different teams up here that are that are playing better. Hell, I'd rather see freaking Tulane up here than freaking Mizzou. People like, oh well, Mizzou's better than Tulane. I mean, yeah, different conferences.
Not right now. Not with the way Noel and Carroll don't scare me in the backfield. The quarterback's iffy. Luther ain't playing very well. Like, who scares you on on the Missouri offense. I mean, I think I think K-State's better than Missouri. So I think Tulane could actually beat Missouri. If there was like a bowl game right now, neutral site, Tulane would beat Missouri. I'm sure of that.
I actually love the running back from Tulane. I mean, the running back from Tulane.
He should be getting more love nationally than fucking this guy. But he's blacklisted, and he's going to the NFL anyway. So I don't, what's he have left in his college? We ain't playing. Jay, we know he ain't playing the bowl game. So what he has four, maybe 5 games left in his college career. So he's blacklisted. X marks the spot. Get him out of here.
It says play me.
But he wanted to be played.
Play me. Bye, Felicia. All right. Enough of that. Do you want to get into some waivers, Jay?
Yeah, I think that's our so we recapped all of our week 9 Eli's gold star, dud, and player blacklist player. All these will be time coded too. So if you actually just missed our show, you can go back and hit those time codes, and if you want to just select different things throughout our stream here later on after it has ended, you can go do so. So we appreciate it if you guys are liking what you're seeing. Give us a like and subscribe. Hit that bell up there. So I mean that we're at 139 right now. I mean, if you guys are viewing, just go over, give us a sub if you like what you're seeing. So I mean, we appreciate it.
Get them up.
Yeah, we're doing this organically. We're not trying to push out there. So I mean, we're just doing this organically. So hopefully down the road this will be bigger and better show. More, who knows? Maybe more people. I mean, who knows what it could be? So, but if you're liking it, we appreciate you being here.
Come and knock on our door. We've been waiting for you. There we go. That's why you're here. That's why you came to the dance. That's why you brought your part. About to do a little square dance in here. Man. Boom. All right. You know what? I've had Le'Veon Moss in my top 5. It seems like a month now. Because damn it, he's still there. The guy had 2 more touchdowns this past weekend. He had 2 more touchdowns, 65 yards on the ground. I mean, come on now, people. There's bye weeks. I mean, look how many fucking bye weeks there are. Texas ain't playing this week. LSU ain't playing. Like, think how many ranked teams are off this week. Like, there's bye weeks galore. You're telling me you can't go and snag a Le'Veon Morris?
Just do it.
Just do it, Le'Veon Moss. I'm starting to call him different names now. Morris Moss. I'm getting long in the tooth talking about this guy. Just go pick him up. It seems like a lot. If we were doing NFL, if we were doing the NFL side, 78% roster, I can't get him. College different, especially Fantrax, way different. So 78% roster, 62% started. You still can get him in a few leagues. Okay, but he's rising up. I think last week he was at maybe 73%. So he's about 5% a week. He's jumping up because people realize how good this guy is. He's scoring touchdowns left to right. Why the hell not? I'm gonna keep putting until he's all right. I promise. So until he's over 80% rostered, especially on Fantrax, he's staying on the list, and he might stay number 1. Okay, we're gonna roll with that.
What?
Jared, the Jacks. Yeah, we might have to give the Jacks some love too coming up. We haven't really talked a lot of FCS, but that's the playoffs are coming up for FCS as well.
Yeah, I actually seen that. They actually, just not to get off topic. I mean, I think they were ranking them either third or 4th. They're in the top 5. They had they have Boise.
Is it Sacramento State? Is it Sacramento State that's 1 or 2 or?
No, they did if the play they did a thing where if the season ended today, that the Bison would be up top, and then I can't remember who the other one was, but they had South Dakota State and South Dakota and all in the top top 5,
top 3 or 4.
Yeah. So I was like, interesting, but yeah, they had some interesting teams that they were talking about. I'm like, Montana State and them, and there were a bunch of other teams they were kind of talking about, but I'm like, I mean, as much as I would love to get into the FCS, that's just probably way too much to handle. I just love
Well,
talking about our
if
regional stuff.
if if these teams would make the dive, if they jump in with both feet and take the next step to FBS, we could be talking about some Jackrabbit players next year. We could be talking about some Bison next year. We could be talking about some Montana State players. We could be getting into a lot of players. It's just there's not a market for FCS fantasy at this point. So, but that's why I wish some of these, especially our home state team, would make the jump because we see what it's doing for But look at James Madison. How much do we talk about James Madison on this show? Quite a bit. And a lot of other G5 schools that have made.
I am McLovin.
I am McLovin. You damn right. Number 2, Jarquez Hunter. He had this guy had almost 300 yards rushing and a couple touchdowns. They played Kentucky this past weekend. You put up a game like that, you catch my attention. Now, granted, he can't do that every week. Most of his games have been like 60 yards. Maybe he'd pop for 80 or something. So it hasn't had a ton, but Kentucky, they were they were competitive against Georgia, beat Alabama. Or no, they didn't beat Alabama. I'm thinking of Vanderbilt, but Kentucky's been very competitive this year. Given their record isn't the greatest, but they've been very competitive this year. Defense has actually played pretty good. So for him to put up 278 yards rushing and 2 touchdowns, that's very impressive. And we don't talk a lot of Auburn on this show. That's actually one of the, like Arkansas, Auburn's very similar. It's a big program. We don't talk a lot about.
The only reason why I was watching, the Tigers was because Bo Nix was there at the time. So that's the only reason why I was actually watching it.
They're talk about lack of skill position guys. Like, who the hell is there to talk about on? Bo Nix was a couple years ago now, and Cam Newton was 15 years ago now. There's not a lot for us to get into, but I give him some love when I can. Hunter 72% rostered, 45% started, which means he's on a lot of people's benches, which I think is where he should be. I wouldn't necessarily start him. He's kind of more for depth. He's a depth guy. Le'Veon Moss, I would literally pick up and start right now. I would pick him up and you can plug and play him. Hunter's more of like a stash and dash kind of deal.
Yeah, that's what I was going to agree with. That's what I was going to agree with. Hunter's he's almost at 1,000 yards on the season. On 120 attempts. Yep. Only 4 touchdowns on the season, which
and no fumbles.
Which kind of sucks, but
he doesn't cough it up either. I know that's not really a sexy stat that we like to talk about here, but it's like Hunter hasn't coughed the ball up, so he's not losing you any points.
No, that's a good thing. Especially if he's going to the I don't know if he's a junior or senior. I don't remember what he was, but that's a good thing if he can actually hold the ball. Because when you go to the NFL, guys,
if you were a next level guy,
yeah. So those are good qualities to have. Not if you get a fumble, you're like, oh, you're sitting on the bench for a couple plays or whatever. So this is a kind of a good thing for him. But the couple touchdowns he did have, one was against Kentucky and one was against the Bulldogs too as well. So both Bulldogs pretty hard to score against. So he had a touchdown up against them. I think he'd be, if you really need Hunter, I think he'd be a flex play for sure. They play Vandy. They give up 114 yards in the rushing side of things, but I think he's more of a volume player in hopes of actually getting a touchdown.
Or he could break one or a couple. He kind of had a Derrick Henry stat line. Again. Number 3, Amari Kelly. This guy here, he's only got 3 touchdowns this year, so touchdowns isn't really his strength. But for a waiver guy, he's got him.
Just play me.
Just play me. Yeah, that's right. That's right, Ryan Reynolds. That's right, Amari Kelly. He's got 779 receiving yards, so just not too much under 800 yards receiving for the year. He's got 300-yard games in the last 5 games, so that's not bad. I think he had a 174-yard game mixed in there somewhere. So he's been playing pretty damn well. Especially in receiver land. It seems like there's obviously more quarterbacks, but there's more running backs than there is receivers. There's more good running backs available from what I've noticed on the waivers than there is receivers. Receivers and obviously tight ends too. Or they're any of our aerial friends struggling to find suitable guys. So at this point, Kelly's averaging in Fantrax, about 20 points a game, which for a receiver it's not terrible, especially like kind of a fill-in bye week guy or just some depth on your bench. It's just. But I think much like Moss, I think you could play Kelly if you had to, because he's pretty much going to get you 100 yards. Now a touchdown, that's very questionable. He doesn't score a lot of touchdowns, but he is probably going to get you 100 yards. He's going to be targeted at least 8 or 10. But, Middle Tennessee, they depend on him. He's their number 1 receiver. So, do you have any thoughts on Kelly at number 3?
Yeah. He's my pretty much
Garbage goober, get out here and eat this garbage.
No, I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding. Just calm down. Calm down now.
I'm like Pac-Man.
No. I mean, he's only a junior, so I mean, he'll be around for the next couple of years. Maybe if he get, as talented as he is, I mean, I think if he goes to a different program where there's an opportunities for him, I think this kid will actually splash. I mean, 74 targets on the season. He's averaging. I mean, they're tossing to him almost 9 targets a game. So I mean, that's some good volume right there. 400 yards, and he's got 400 yards on the or 400 yard games on the season. One was actually 239 with the 3 touchdowns, which was back in week 3 of the season. Other than that, he's been pretty much touchdown dependent. But I think a lot of it's, he's got the volume play with the targets and whatnot, which helps in that aspect of the game, yards and that on that. Only if he had a few more touchdowns up in there, I think that would help his cause. But other than that, he lacks touchdown, but he's got a lot of volume.
Yeah, that's kind of what I was saying too. You can expect an average game from him. If you need it. Depends on your league size. There's a lot of variables. 8 to 9 targets and most likely 100 yards. So you can book it. Oregon's defense number 4, Jay, because why the hell not? I don't know how they're still there. I guess in our leagues, they're sitting there. I don't know. Maybe you guys will have to. Some of you guys will have to give me your login. And I'll have to check out your leagues to see if Oregon's defense is available. That seems kind of that they would be out there, but 87% rostered. 74% started. So if you're rostering Oregon, obviously you're starting them, especially they're playing Michigan. Come on now. Michigan, how the hell are they going to move the football? There have been a lot of games this year. Oregon, they've held opponents under 10 points. So Oregon, I could see this being a blowout, man. I really do. I could see this being like a 42-3 game. 38-6, 38-10. So
Ohio. The Ducks are actually. The Ducks are actually. I was looking at my other leagues. They're available in all my other leagues that I got. So yeah. I think the 2 that I think you and I are in. In one of them, I know the Ducks are off the board, but I know there's in one of our leagues there that they're actually out there.
Yeah.
Looks like the last couple of games here, they actually been getting, some takeaways, some sacks at least. So, that's, I guess, for me, Oregon's kind of, I would probably stick with Tulane. I'd probably stick with Tulane myself, just because, Tulane's playing, they're actually playing smaller schools. They can actually get at the quarterback quicker than most of these bigger schools, so a little bit harder to get sacks. But that's just me. Oregon's still a good option if you need that, for sure. I guess that that's just my point of view on that, I guess.
Well, yeah. The reason I bring that up, if you had a defense like my situation, if you have a defense like James Madison, JMU's been playing damn good on defense, especially with sacks and turnovers. If they're on a bye, and you look at the available options, obviously, yeah, you'd like a team playing a lesser opponent, but who's lesser right now than Michigan's passing game? They can't move the ball. Like seriously, like Mullings and Edwards. They would have to have an epic game on the ground to be competitive in this one. So, and to be able to score, accumulate yards, anything against this Oregon's defense, it's not going to happen. It's not going to happen. So I'll tell you right now, I'm picking him up and I'm starting him. That's what I'm going to do. And that's what you should do too. If you've got a defense on a bye, if you have a suitable one that's already in place, stand pat, stand down, as they would say, stand down. All right, Jay, we got one more. Number 5, Isaac Brown, running back from Louisville. This guy here, five total touchdowns the last 3 games. He's been a touchdown machine. This is the guy that replaced Isaac Rendo. I'm sorry. Last time I checked, he's been tearing it up as the 49ers running back since McCaffrey and Jordan Mason got hurt. So Rendo's tearing. This has been his replacement. And Louisville's had their moments this year, especially on defense. They haven't been too great, but 5-3, offense been humming. Got a damn good quarterback and apparently a damn good receiver too. I think Ja'Cory Brooks. He's damn good as well. But Isaac Brown, Isaac Brown, 9. Any thoughts on him? Only 46% rostered. So you could pretty much get this guy in any size league, like right now. And his pace right now, Jay, he could get you 2 touchdowns in the game. I don't know about yardage, maybe 75 yards or so, but you throw in those 2 touchdowns, that eats up a lot of points.
I guess I never really looked into him all too much, So I mean, I guess you're the one that brought him to light.
He hosts the show. He hosts the show, and he was. That's what I'm saying. Like, there are some deep cuts here. There are some deep cuts here. This is the ninth song on the CD. You have to go down the outro for these guys, but Isaac Brown, I went running back heavy this week because I noticed that there is actually quite an assortment of good running backs available if you have buys, if you have injuries. Obviously, on the bottom there, we put a lot of guys, and they're not out. None of those guys are out. Ollie Gordon, any of the backs there, but they're questionable, for this upcoming week. So it's always good to have a plan B, backup plan.
Yeah, it looks like he's just pretty much just your typical cowbell guy. I mean, not really, not a lot in the pass game,
Nope.
So I mean, pretty much
basically you're banking on the fact that he can get you touchdowns. That's kind of his calling card.
Yeah, that's from the sounds from the looks of it, anyways.
Taking the trash out. All right, what do you got? What do you got for me?
Oh, what do I got for you? Well, I mean, I don't know. I mean, there's a lot going on there, So, but let's go at it.
I like that Sleepy Hollow creepy. I like that background a lot. I actually want to use it every week now. Gonna be Halloween every week.
I right. So I kind of figured since it was kind of Halloween, let's kind of just put something back there, change it up, and it's got to have a little fun on Halloween now. Come on now. I mean, I know you pretty much talked about Moss there. I'm not gonna talk about him. We talked about Almaro Kelly. We're not gonna talk about him. We talked about Hunter there. So the guys we'll talk about here. We'll talk about the we'll actually end up talking about the couple guys here. It's kind of Rachel, from the only downfall he's on bye. I think he's a guy to maybe you kind of take a look at here. He's a top 33 fantasy player on the season. He has 400 yard games on the season already. I'm just trying to wrap my head around this here. He's so if Utah can't really get anything going in that, in the passing game, this guy will come in and just tear it up. So, I mean, the last couple of weeks here, he put up 27 fantasy points against Wyoming Saturday night, 131 yards on the ground, snagged a touchdown. I mean, he's pretty much a bye week fill in, but he's on bye, but he's a guy to kind of take a look at, maybe put a little star up there. So, I mean, if they can't get anything going. But he's averaging 18 fantasy points per game. He had 6 touchdowns in the last 5 weeks. He's only rostered in 35% of leagues. Only 16% started. But he's playing Washington State after he gets off their bye. So pretty much week 11. I mean, he'll more likely will be on waivers. So if you need somebody for a fill-in that has some high volume, I would take a look at him. He is worth the ad in my eyes. So the next two we got Daniel Jackson and
We got a
JJ Jones.
gopher?
Yes,
We got a
it's
little,
kind of
we got a little
it's kind
gopher there.
yes, it's kind of a it's kind of
I
a
thought their defense was the only good part of that team.
right. Me too. It's kind of scary. Well, I mean, it's kind of scary to think about this. I mean, he saw 10 targets, 9 receptions. Tallying up 117 yards, 2 touchdowns. I mean, their offense a little spotty, but it's hard to kind of start Jackson with the lack of touchdowns. I mean, he sees most of the targets, you know, in you know, um, in the offense, but the run game kind of chews up most of the clock. So I mean, he's kind of a boomer bust kind of a guy you want to take a look at. He's kind of a week to week. 42% rostered, 20% started in most of them. They're playing Illinois this week, but I mean, is Illinois going to be a rebound game because they were depleted by Oregon here? That's the only downfall with Jackson is that, I mean, he does get the targets, but he just lacks the touchdown upside um, of that aspect of the game, and that's the only thing that the offense just lacks energy. 568 yards on the season. I mean, he's pretty much pretty much a flex play really if you need somebody. But I mean, Illinois does give up 121 yards in the pass game, so I mean they do give up. So I mean, there's maybe a slight opportunity for him to kind of maybe snag a touchdown up in there, but I mean Minnesota's kind of a spotty team. I mean, the defense is good, but I was kind of looking at this guy's backlog a little bit. Pretty similar. I mean, 500, 600 yards. If he's a senior too, so I mean, if he does go to the NFL, this guy would probably end up being like a wide receiver 2, wide receiver 3. Just kind of like 500, 600 yards on the season kind of thing. A touchdown here and there. So he pretty much would be a good. He's pretty much a good body to kind of have around if he does get to that. Next level. But for right now,
Talking. I want to grab a beer. Keep talking.
JJ Jones, pretty much in the same boat, really. Honestly, I mean, both of these, Daniel Jackson and Jones are pretty much same player. The only downside is that Jones actually he doesn't have the targets like Jackson does, but Jones is actually a little bit more explosive than I believe Jackson. So I mean, they struggle a little bit. The only thing that the Tar Heels got going on is that great run game. He kind of the Sabres lack some of the targets during the games. Jones he's kind of a sneaky play. He's only at 8% rostered. He's had his first 100-yard game here. This is last week. He only had 2 touchdowns. I was kind of looking back at him. He's not really quite speedy. I mean, he's a good route runner, but he doesn't lag the top speed to just really take it home because he's kind of a big fella. It's only averaging about 9.2 fantasy points per game. But he is their go-to wide receiver though. He is their wide receiver 1 there. So I mean, he will get the first reads and stuff like that. So he is, but they're playing Florida State this weekend. So I mean, I would think if they don't get the run game kind of going, that he actually sneaks in a touchdown up in there. But I think overall, UNC does win this game against FSU. And I think Jones does, have hopefully he goes back to back 100-yard games against this team. So that's my perspective of him. So he's kind of another dart throw. So I mean, he's just kind of some dart throws. So those are my 2 guys. We talked about Kelly, and if you need a tight end, Holden is a guy to take a look at too. We mentioned him before too as well. A couple episodes back, he's kind of spurted on the scene here and there. So if you need a tight end, take a look at him. He had 109. I think this is his second 100-yard game now, I believe. He's had a touchdown too as well up in there.
Hey, what's going on with the water over in Middle Tennessee? We got 2 guys here,
right? I know. I was a couple guys on the freaking both 2 guys. I'm like, okay, whatever works, I guess. But yeah,
love it.
Yeah, not bad. I'm like, well, they got 2 and 2. I mean, well, this is the college football world, man. The variety is just it never ceases to end.
You got 100, yeah. This is fucking Baskin Robbins here, people. 134 different flavors. You got 134 teams to choose from. Yeah, like Illy Knight says. Whoops. Sorry,
got,
FCC. Fuck you.
Oh my god. Andreas, if you're looking at some kickers, he actually had back-to-back 10 fantasy points one week. The last 2 weeks, 10 to 12 fantasy points. He's actually ranked 7th out of all kickers right now. 3-on-3 over. He had 2 over 40 yards, 3 extra points. The week before, 1 of 1, but he had 7 extra points. So I mean, when it comes to Miami, I mean, if they can't get something going in the pass game or they're struggling a little bit, I mean, he's a good option to kind of toss up in there. So not a bad option. There's a tons of kickers out there. I know we mentioned, so if you actually go back and follow me on Autorhythm Fan and X, you can go back and actually take a look at all these graphics from week 2 all the way up to current. The same way with I have a top 4 that I put out kind of early Sunday night, early Monday morning-ish. Gives you the top 4 guys to kind of take a look at. And then when our show happens, I put together 9 guys to kind of give you a little bit more variety with the top 4 guys up in there. So these are just kind of more of an overall look. But if you want just more of a slim down, I give you a little bit more in depth on the top 4. So go over there, give me a follow on X. I'll give you a follow back as well. Eli's over there on X as well. Not too reactive, but he's over there.
I'll show you a reaction. But this kicker from Miami. Yeah, speaking of, he's awesome. Ranked 7th nationally. So he's not fantasy points, but just in percentages. But he's only missed 1 kick this year. This ain't the NFL. This ain't Justin Tucker here. So I mean, you'll take that. Doesn't get a ton of action, especially with Cam in the Miami offense. But for a fill-in kicker, I looked at him too. He was on Fantrax as well. He was probably 3rd or 4th in line for kickers I would pick up. So yeah, he's right in that mix. If you need to grab somebody for your bye week, you can't go wrong here.
Yeah. I mean, then Indiana. I mean, they're another team there they're playing well. 180 some odd points on the season. They play Michigan State. So I don't know. Does Indiana just say screw you and just give Michigan State everything? I mean, Michigan State's 4-4, but
Michigan State have? Who the hell? I mean, seriously, like they don't have another one of these teams that has no skill position guys you would want. They don't. Michigan State is they're blah, and Indiana is gonna get a tee off, and Oregon's defense, Indiana's defense, Pitt. If somehow Pitt's defense is still available, I know they're playing SMU, but
I mean, Chili's on the other side. I mean, I am kind of chilly. I need some chili right now, but I mean,
cold. You cold, big boy?
I mean, Chili is a name to kind of think about a little bit. I mean, he's kind of. I think he's a freshman. I don't know offhand, but I mean, he's a guy to kind of take a look at that. He does have a little upside, not a whole lot, but I mean, the program's kind of turning around a little bit slowly but surely. I mean, they're a team that's going to need a lot of work in progress, but I mean, Chile is their foundation for that offense. I mean, week 2, he had 3 touchdowns, which isn't too bad. I mean, I used to love watching Michigan State. Now I barely watched really any Michigan State, so it's kind of depressing a little bit. I mean, I love to watch.
Jay, I haven't paid attention since Kenneth Walker left. I haven't. I don't know anybody that gives a shit about, unless you're from fucking Lansing, Michigan. I don't know anybody that gives the slightest fuck. The most interesting thing about this team was a couple years ago when their coach got fired for like wasn't he having like an extramarital affair or something? He was fucking one of the like boosters or something. Mel Tucker. I think Mel Tucker was the coach, and he was doing a little stuff. He was doing a little cheek clapping behind his wife.
Garbage goober, get out here and eat this garbage.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Yeah, Michigan State. I hope we never have to reference that team again, unless it's on a the opposing end of a beatdown. And in this case, it's going to be Indiana's defense smoking them. So Indiana's defense, great pickup.
All right. Well, I think that kind of covers Eli's waivers and my waivers. We had some similar players, just some other guys to take a look at. Daniel Jackson, J.J. Jones, Rachel from the Aggies. He's a guy to take a look at if you need a running back. If you're looking at defenses, Indiana would be a great defense to actually play this weekend against MSU. I actually might have to play them. Actually, I don't think I have any shares of them. Damn. I was thinking about Squad Blitz.
Get on that.
I was thinking about Squad Blitz, but that's just
Squad
that's
Blitz.
my...
You know what? We're gonna skip sleeper 5 for right now because he said the magic word. It's like Joe Hendry. Say his name and he appears. Get Squad Blitz in time. Oh yes. I won last week, Jay. I'm 5-4, big boy. I actually jumped you in the standings.
No!
I won 4 in a row. I forget from bowling. I know 3 is a turkey. I forget what 4 is, but I'm on fire right now. I'm rolling out the X's because I needed to. I got some bye weeks. Got some bye weeks here, so we had to do a transfer. Okay, if you guys have been following this at all, Squad Blitz is great, by the way. Outstanding. If you haven't signed up yet for it, do it. It's a different way to play fantasy. But if you guys have been following along here with my season progress, I was at 1-4. Now I'm 5-4. Last week, I had Colorado in the passing spot. I had too many buys. I had 3 buys. I had to make a move. Unfortunately, I had to drop and transfer Colorado. I know some vulture out there, maybe this guy is going to go and snag him up. But that's the cost of doing business. I need the points, so I'm going to go with Baylor. Baylor's actually been their passing offense isn't terrible. They were the best available that I saw, so a little over 177 points. So we'll take it, and maybe we'll get lucky here. And then I'm going with Louisville. Louisville's actually been pretty good in that aspect as well. Louisville I've used a couple different times in passing, so we're going to roll with them there. Clemson, usually I've used Cade Klubnik and I've used Clemson for passing as well, but this week I'm using them for rushing. So hopefully Phil Moffa and the boys can come through and up that a little bit. I'm going to need a big performance there. They've got just a little bit under 225 rushing points. And then the heavy hitter themselves, the team we've been talking about all show, Indiana, just laying down some pipe, laying down some lead. I think they had over 30 points last week. Help me in my win. They're almost at 330 rushing points. It's ridiculous. Indiana, yeah, they are. This is a team. No matter what the bye situation is, Indiana is a squad I will never let go of. They'll be my. I don't know if this is a keeper thing, but I'm keeping them for life. Squad Blitz defense. You know what? We'll go with the same 2 teams we went with last week. We're gonna go with SMU, and actually no, I take that back. I used SMU last week, and then I used BYU. BYU's got a bye, so I had to bump BYU to the bench. I had to basically pick between Colorado and BYU who I was going to keep, and I ended up choosing Colorado because I think it's easier to find passing points than it is to find all that BYU offers. You can use, especially in the defense. BYU is like one of the top defensive squads that I've come across. So we're gonna go with Pitt here, and Pitt's another one of these teams that you can use them in a variety of spots. If you needed to in a pinch to use them with rushing, you could do it. In a pinch, you might be able to use them with passing, but I think their strength is on the defense. So we got Baylor, Louisville, passing, rushing. We got Clemson, Indiana. And then defense, we got SMU, Pitt. What do you think? Do I have any chance of getting to 6-4 here?
I was actually just gonna look at the Baylor's actually their QB because he actually seems like he actually tears it up a little bit. I was like, oh
yeah,
shit.
He's been playing. They've been competitive, Jay. I thought they were a joke, but I mean, quarterback's been playing better.
That's why I mentioned like here and there that Baylor, even though they're kind of a crappy team, there's games where they actually show up, and you know,
do.
a team that actually you think that's supposed to win, and it's totally opposite. Baylor comes in and actually just throws down, and you're like, "What the fuck just happened?" You know, so Baylor is kinda like one of those sneaky teams that can be, just totally upset your week, totally. They could be come in, especially a ranked team if they play Baylor. I think I mentioned that even last week or something like that, Baylor is a team that could come in and just totally just bombardier a ranked team and be like, "Oh shit, didn't see this coming," you know?
So they've go down the list here. They have scored over 30 points. Let's see, 2, 3, 4, 5. So 5 of their 8 games they've scored over 30 points. So they're putting up points, and a couple major, a 58 and a 59 point game in there. So they're I've been, what? Why the hell not? Why the hell not? Yeah, and Sawyer Robertson, he's the ringleader of this. Go down his stats here. Yeah, 17 touchdowns, 4 picks, a little over 1,500 yards passing. So, and a lot of this is done, and we look at the conference too. Big 12 is damn good. He's got 16 touchdowns within the conference, in the conference games. So, yeah, they're not, like I said, they're not on anybody's radar. We're not talking about them the same way we talk about Colorado, K-State, Iowa State, BYU, the kind of the heavy hitters in the Big 12. But yeah, Baylor's, they've been competitive, and their offense can definitely score. So I'm
well, yeah. I mean, if you think about it, I mean, shit. I mean, he actually gets a couple of rushing touchdowns up in there. He's pretty much been averaging 2 to 3 touchdowns a game. So I mean, it's just the week before they played Texas Tech, he had 5 touchdowns. Had 5 touchdowns on the week. So that just blows my mind. I didn't even to think about Baylor, a Baylor team just kind of just being up in there. So I'm like, what? I'm like, who's this guy? I'm like, shit, I didn't think Baylor played that damn good. So I'm like, oh, that kind of opened my eye just a little bit.
Yeah.
I mean, I might have to, he's actually available on some of my leagues, so I might have to go and snag him up somewhere.
Yeah, that's not a guy, Sawyer Robertson, we haven't talked about one time on this show. I don't think there's been one mention of him until tonight. But we're popping the cherries on a lot of teams on this kind of our flagship first season of college football. Yeah. We're making sure we're getting all the names on the card here. We're trying to make up for lost time. Yeah. I like him. I like I like this team in general, and I'm hoping that if I have to transfer Baylor next week, or maybe I don't have to transfer him. Maybe Robertson, maybe he has another monster game. Maybe three passing touchdowns or something. 250 yards, 300 yards. Maybe I can keep Baylor in that same spot for week 11. We'll see. Do you have a squad blitz, Jay, or you still have to determine?
Oh, I was just actually going to look at the Baylor's their not that one. I was actually going to look at their schedule here real quick.
Yes,
I was just kind of curious because they have TCU this weekend. That'll be probably pretty close. And they go on by. So the last 3 games, they got West Virginia, Houston, and Kansas, which probably wouldn't be a bad option, option to play. I mean, West Virginia is kind of shaky here and there. Houston, they might, they could possibly upset Houston. Very possible.
That's a win. They're going to make a bowl. I mean, they're going to make a bowl at least. I think at the minimum, Baylor is a 6-6 team. Possibly 7-5.
Yeah. Nope.
So,
I did not put my squad blitz together because I was trying to. I don't know. I guess I'm still kind of a work in progress on kind of how to wrap things around because looking at different teams point wise, who to add, who to take away and whatnot. So it's just kind of like the app is still kind of a work in progress. I mean, it's still new to to the college scene here. So it's pretty much a smaller mom and pop thing. It's not quite that large yet. So I mean, it's a work in progress of kind of getting critiquing the information so that we have a good outlook to who we want to add, subtract, and whatnot. So I mean, if you go and take a look at it, I mean, there's good information there. I think it just needs to be rerouted a little bit differently. I mean, I love the app in general. We just gotta get the information just correctly out there.
Yes, and I try to keep spreading the good word, and I still try to keep dominating 4 in a row. Let's make it 5.
You got
We come, man. I'm coming for that top spot, man. I don't
you
know.
got
Is it 4? Jay, is it 4 teams that make the playoffs here, or is it?
I honestly, I have not asked them actually. I mean, so I'm not sure how it's set up or not. So I mean, it might be
Yeah,
the top
should, yeah.
4. Yeah, it might be the top 4. So I mean, I know you got. I mean, we're in there with some of the guys who actually built this app themselves. So I mean, we're playing against the guys that that kind of got the behind the scenes of all the nice little information of who's been added, who's been dropped, and it's like, dude, you guys need to sharing this shit with us. I need to know who's been added. I need to know who's been dropped so I can look at who. If there's a team that's been popping right now, who knows? I could have probably went on and got a Baylor, but it's like, it's kind of one of those situations. But my team kind of sucks. I got Minnesota, um, got Arkansas, Illinois, Michigan, USC, and I got TCU. So I mean, that's gonna be a stout game. As TCU, I mean, should I play TCU in my defense? Should I play him as a pat? I mean, TCU's kind of been up and a down team. So it's kind of like I
How
was
about your
I
talking about your team sucks, motherfucker? I got I got 2 matchups on the screen here. Louisville's playing Clemson, and Pitt's playing SMU. So I got like that Slipknot song Duality. It's like I'm opposed to the.
I mean, the only upside I got is the Arkansas upside of I got the Arkansas rushing upside is all I got right now at the moment. So I mean, that's the only thing I got going on right now. I mean, 255, rushing fancy points there. Minnesota doesn't really do it for me. TCU really doesn't do it for me. The only thing that TCU's got is the pass game. We have to get that, Beach out there, So I mean, they're probably their only option out there, So but I mean, Utah's on bye this week, and I got my handy dandy San Jose Trojans on bye too, so that kind of hurts my passing side of things. So now I have to try to find go and find.
You mean not having Mr. 12 touchdown himself, Nick Nash? That's gonna hurt a little bit. Sting a
Damn
little
right.
bit.
Yeah.
I'm getting laughed at right now. I mean, if you think about it, the beginning of the year, I was actually 4-0. I had a couple hiccups here and there, and I'm
Oh,
kind
you
of
lost 5 in a row. Oh shit.
I've been kind of losing back to back here a little bit. Some of them were pretty close, so I'm just like, yeah, it has not been great. So I've been stuck at 4.
We got to get the train back on the tracks.
We do. I might have an opportunity to, but I mean, the guy I'm playing against, he has Texas on bye, which is a good thing. Ole Miss, Kansas State, Oklahoma State, Iowa State. He's got Virginia, and then he's for his bench, he's got Texas Tech and Maryland's on bye. So hopefully he probably won't be doing anything. So this should be an easy win for me to be at 5-5, hopefully. But I'll have to scour the transfer portal and see what's out there and get my team back to par. I mean, because this is not like me to be losing back to back, and I'm like, I'm not a guy who likes losing. Let's just put it that way.
No, there ain't no losers on this show. No, we win.
But I mean, if
he's that winner, that all I do is win. We need that as a sound bit now.
It says play me.
But it's honestly, it's been Squad Blitz has been a little bit of a
Welcome to my nightmare.
it's been a little bit of that, but I mean, hopefully I can get it turned around, and it's been fun. If go out there and download the app, Squad Blitz. Go follow these guys on X, Squad Blitz. I've had some conversations with the guys. I mean, these the creators, they're very, very very intelligent people, down to earth people. So go out there, give them a follow. They have a YouTube page. Let's go out there and give them a follow. And get all, help them, fine tune this app so that, in the future, it's the content is better for us to, get at in a app form. They don't have a website yet, just mostly in the app right now. But other than that, I love the app. It's fun. I mean, we wouldn't be talking about it if we didn't like it. So Emery,
Yeah.
we are the first people to actually talk about Squad Blitz as a content creator. There's no one else out there as we know are talking about Squad Blitz right now. So if you are in Squad Blitz, maybe you tune in to catch us, talk about, hey, what guys, what team do you think about this week for add or drop for Squad Blitz? So
And
we're the
And that could be a future segment or a side thing that Jay does or we do together. Yeah, to answer Squad Blitz, like, hey, who do you guys have a matchup this week? And this guy's pretty stacked. Like, what do you guys think? Or in the transfer, what maybe G5 school can I pick up that's going to give me the rushing attack I need? That's going to give me the passing attack I need. So I could definitely be a segment in the future. Yeah, definitely with Squad Blitz because I enjoy it more. It's you're not. And I've said this for probably 10 weeks in a row or whatever, but like you're not so reliant on one player. It's a team effort. It's a whole like Indiana doesn't have a top 5, top 10 rusher. They don't. But as as a whole group, their rushing attack is elite, right? So you don't have to just rely on I have to have an Ashton, I have to have a Caleb Johnson, I have to, it's R.K. Harvey. What you do? Oh, go ahead, Jay.
Oh, I'll just say, I mean, like, there was some teams that have two-headed monsters. I mean, like a BYU, they have a two-headed monster, So, I mean, that gives you gives you the benefit of one guy over 100 or they both scoring touchdowns, So, I mean,
exactly. And LJ Martin could probably be a feature back for maybe half the teams in the country, right?
Yep.
If he was on South Alabama, he would be, he'd probably be an 800-yard back, maybe 900-yard back or something. So,
Hey, brother.
Hey, brother. Hey, brother. You know what? We'll keep the Squad Blitz up. More Squad Blitz never hurt anybody. Keep it up there a little bit longer. Sleeper 5. Jay converted me. I was a. I'm not. Well, never mind.
Converted you.
Baptized me into Sleeper. I was a DraftKings guy, but I saw the light. He baptized me. So now we go with Sleeper. And I love some of the categories. You can kind of pick your odds, right? And I think that's Jay's favorite part too, is like, hey, if I want to take a less risky proposition, like, hey, maybe I'll take like 1.65 times my money, maybe 1.77 times my money. And that's a little less risky because that's more likely to hit, right? Where if you take like, hey, I'm gonna go out guns blazing, cock out, rock out, and I'm gonna try to win 3 times my money. I'm gonna try to win 2.5 times my money. So this week we're going, I got the cock out. It's swinging along like Ric Flair. Woo! Doing a helicopter down here. So yeah. So we're hanging out. All of our bets will double your money, more than double your money. Okay, and I'll see what Jay thinks. Do you want me to go through all 5 or do them individually and you comment?
I mean, if you want to go through all 5 of them, then I can kind of I'll comment on them afterwards.
Okay. So I'm going to start off Miller Moss. I'm going to take the over on a half touchdown of rushing. You want to know why? Because he just had a rushing touchdown last Friday against Rutgers. USC smoked them. And you know what? And we could over triple our money. And that's kind of what that little green graphic means. 3.35x. That means, if you, let's say you bet like $2. Well, that's a small bet, but like you could probably win close to 7, right? Or, a bigger bet, if you bet $100, you could win 335. So that's kind of what that means, is like you can more than triple your money. Miller Moss having over a half, it's worth a shot. Let's go out and, he's not a mobile guy, but you need you just need a little something, a little something, and he'll give you that. Number 2, I always take the less than with Arizona because I think Arizona's trash. I think they're disgusting. I want to take every time I see them on the damn. I want to take a nice cold shower. Just on Arizona, Fafita awful, and it's sad because T-Mac suffers and so does Conley, the running back here. I'm going to take the under on a half anytime touchdown. He's not going to have any touchdowns because this might be a little stretch because he has. Oh, Eli, he's had a touchdown 3 of the last 4 games. I know, but he doesn't have any receiving touchdowns this year, and this is anytime, right? So he's not gonna, he's not gonna sneak in a receiving touchdown, not gonna have a random receiving touchdown. So it's all gonna be on the ground, and one of those 4 games of the last was against Colorado, and that's the game he didn't have any touchdowns. So, and that was probably the best team they played in that stretch. So. There's a chance. I mean, it's a slight chance. It's probably a 30% chance, but you know what? I'm gonna give it a go here, and I'm gonna say Conley's got he's gonna be less than because Arizona's trash. Let's go to the next one. Caden Veldkamp over half a pick. You damn right, and we can over double our money. He's got 5 interceptions in the last 4 games. Why the hell not? This is a lot. This should actually probably be above Conley. Conley might actually come down the list a little bit. He should probably be like 3 or 4 because Veldkamp is a better chance to hit. This guy's been, he started off the year the first couple games he wasn't, throwing any picks. Kind of got the old ticker, the old arm has kind of been ice cold lately. He's been throwing it to the opposition way too much. So I'm going to take the over there. I almost want to call him Yukon Brown. Keith Brown. It's the most interesting. I've never heard a guy named Keith at all. Keith. I've never heard that until now.
Oh, that's hilarious.
Yeah, he did have a touchdown against North Texas last week, and a few weeks before that, he had 2 touchdowns against UAB, and we can over 2.5 times our money. So for him to have over a half receiving touchdown, I'm going to go for it. Tulane has been. I don't know. They've been firing on all cylinders. Defense, offense, everything. Okay. They had a couple slip-ups there, but, still 6-2, still rolling strong. And Keith Brown, he's gonna have a touchdown. He's going to score one again 2 consecutive weeks, and he's going to win you some money. And then number 5, the last one. I've talked about Matt Lauder before because usually it's Ashton that gets all the love from Boise, maybe a little bit of Maddox, the quarterback, but Matt Lauder, damn good tight end. And we can over double our money with him as well. We're going to take half a receiving touchdown. We're going to take the over because he has 4 touchdowns in the last 5 games, and he just had one against UNLV last week. So he's fresh off a touchdown. He could use another one. And these are my sleeper 5. There's no real safe bets here. So, I mean, we're kind of I would say the Conley one's probably the biggest stretch. He could probably be at 5, honestly. Because he has scored at least 1 touchdown 3 of the last 4 games. So that might be a little bit of a stretch. But the rest of these guys, the rest of these 4 guys, I see hitting on all of those. And what do you think, Jay? Or if you have any suggestions yourself, maybe a different category for one of these guys, maybe somebody else you'd swap in.
Yeah, I mean, I took a shot with Kelly from I think it's Texas A&M or whatever. He had our Coleman from Texas A&M, one of those guys. I had him for a touchdown. He had a touchdown, I think, the week before. He ended up getting a touchdown this week. So I did either a anytime touchdown or a receiving touchdown because the receiving gives you just a little bit more. But I mean, if you're a little skeptical, the anytime touchdown is added bonus. I mean, it does help to kind of like, okay, if he does a rushing or something like that, it kind of just sims down your anxieties a little bit. But I mean, I think I'm going to chase a little bit of the Tulane game there a little bit. I'm going to go with Hughes for sure. Probably going to do probably anytime touchdown or a rushing touchdown. Very possible, with this defense. I mean, they're not defense. This offense, they're actually playing Charlotte. So there's a very possible he can make, they got him listed as a 1.5. So I mean, maybe 2 touchdowns against Charlotte. So I mean, that's kind of high up there just a little bit.
Yeah, Charlotte's junk.
Yeah. I mean, you talked about Brown too as well. I mean, he's seen a little bit in the offense, just a smudge, just a little bit. I was like, oh shit. I mean, they do kind of pass it around. I mean, they do run a little bit here and there, but I mean, Brown, I think it's not a bad option, especially with Charlotte just not being a great team in general. They might so Tulane might be just throwing all kinds of points against these guys in general. And I haven't really looked at a lot of the slate as well. I mean, I know I kind of target some games here, different games here and there. I kind of do like a morning. I was telling Eli over there, I usually do kind of a morning. I do morning, mid afternoon, and then I kind of target the evening. So I kind of break them up a little bit so they're not all in one. But that's kind of how I do it. If we kind of want to hit just some of the afternoon games, I just kind of look at them and kind of see who's kind of been the hot guy, or like I was hoping for Ohio State. I was hoping Ibuka would have had a touchdown against Nebraska. Nope, that didn't fucking happen. So I was pretty pissed about that. So I actually
that fucker had 3 touchdowns. No, speaking of Ibuka, that fucker had 3 touchdowns in the previous game and then he didn't do shit against Nebraska. Go figure. Figure. He's a tease. That's why he shouldn't be a first round pick. He's a tease.
Yeah. And so I mean, I kind of did a 7-on-7, to kind of maximize. I had almost every single one of them hit, besides, Ibuka screwed me, and I think one other guy screwed me. So I had every single one that hit, and then I just like, come on, Ibuka, just give Ibuka a fucking touchdown in there. Nope, that didn't happen. Like, screw you guys. But I mean, I just like the different opportunities for different, because DraftKings, I used to kind of do DraftKings, but you're only slated to very little. It's either rushing and receiving yards and passing yards. That's it. Yeah,
it's basic, and that's why we switched over to kind of giving the sleeper view of stuff, because it's I don't know, DraftKings, it's shit your girlfriend or your wife could. No, I'm not trying to denigrate women, but like it's or like your fucking 80-year-old grandpa could fucking, DraftKings is so simple. This is a little more cerebral, I think. A little more thought process that goes into the sleep.
Yeah, I mean, if you want to, or like Hampton against freaking, FSU. I mean, they don't even have any guys slated for FSU. So that goes to show that they're not, money related. So I mean, Mario should have freaking a rush. Actually, he should have a rushing touchdown against these guys, and he'd probably go over 100 some yards. I mean, the last couple weeks he's, he's been a little bit under 100 yards, but he usually averages about 100 yards per game. So I mean, he's not a bad option, and when you think about it. So, but yeah, I mean, the rest of these are pretty good. I mean, the boys, I saw the Boise State guy, the tight end there, he had a touchdown in there, so I was like, oh shit, they actually tossed the ball around. I'm like, I was impressed.
We talked about Max, I think a week or two ago on the show. It's like he doesn't get a lot of the love, but it's like you don't win as many games as Boise has and been competitive with Oregon and roughed up Washington State, like a lot of good teams. Yeah, you don't do that stuff. Beat UNLV. You don't do all that stuff without a decent quarterback. So Maddox a little underrated, and Lauder is a tight end. I think is underrated too. So yeah, I like this, because you know what we're gonna help the people do, Jay. What's that? You know what we're gonna help them do? We're gonna help them win a little bit of the.
I gotta find it. There we go. I moved.
Here we go.
I moved.
Monday.
Yeah, I moved some things around on my little soundboard. I moved it. I was like, oh shit, I didn't know where it was. I'm like, I moved it around. Yeah. No, I should put a little money logo there, so that I can put a little icon. So I'm like, oh, I better change that. So I know where it's at.
I'm like Shaq in the post back in the Laker days. Like, feed me.
It says play me.
Play me. We got some players to, before we skeet on out of here. Yeah. We got to talk about 6 players, and then we'll let all you grown adults and your kiddos and everybody gets to have some Halloween dreams tonight. Put put on a scary movie before bed, whatever it is that you do. Maybe you like to put on the scary movie on the laptop when you shower. Maybe that's just me. I don't know, but you got 6 players to watch for week 10. Bryson Daly, can you believe this shit? The number 2 fantasy quarterback. And they're playing Air Force. He's going to kill him. Jay, he's Air Force. I mean, as a proud Air Force veteran, he's going to kill him.
I thought you guys were supposed to be the sneaky ones. Come on now.
Yeah, right. Yeah, right. up in the air with planes and shit. No, you ain't stopping. Literally take an army to stop Bryson Daly. Okay? It's the truth. Yeah, I thought if you thought Blake Horvath, and Blake Horvath's number 6, from what I'm sorry, he's a fraud. The Navy's a fraud. I'm out. I'm pulling for Army. I'm like, hell yeah. Number 20, they're ranked number 21 this week. Just keep it going. He keeps this going. They're undefeated. He'll be a dark horse Heisman candidate. He really will be. Other quarterback I'm looking at, for players to watch, Cade Klubnik. He's kind of had an under the radar good season. A couple times I've mentioned him on waivers and earlier in the year, and I know he was a gold star player. I forget which week, but so we've had a few mentions of him, but he's actually the number 12 fantasy quarterback. And they got a favorable matchup against Louisville. I think that's going to be a shootout with him and Shug, the other, the Louisville stud quarterback too. I think it's going to be a shootout between these two teams. A lot of offense. That should be a fun game. Honestly, if you want kind of a game that nobody's really talking about, that's going to be a lot of fun offensively. Clemson, Louisville should be one of them. I would definitely get the popcorn and beer ready. Any thoughts on Daly and Klubnik this week?
Daly, I'm actually fine with. I mean, he's going to give you that rushing upside for sure. I mean, I know you're talking about Horvath. He's actually the 15th top rated quarterback in fantasy football right now. So I mean,
well, it's probably because of that. It's probably because of that game he had last week against Notre Dame. That probably knocked him down a bunch of spots. Yo, Pete, what do you know? What do you know about Bryson Daly?
Yeah, let us know. What do you think about Bryson Daly? He'd be like, dude, I'm a football guy. Remember that, He's like, I'm a face-off guy over there at that fantasy, face-off network over there. They talk about actually the NFL stuff. They don't talk about college.
I know. That's what we provide the undercard for that. You got the main event. You gotta fill it out. So there ain't no curtain jerkers here.
I am McLovin.
So we got the 2 quarterbacks out of the way. Bam. Push.
The crazy funny thing is I really haven't watched a lot of Clemson at all because I end up I've been watching so many other games. I'm like Clemson's actually this good.
We checked out. I think everybody checked out after that that debacle in week 1 where they got smashed 34-3 by Georgia. I think everybody kind of checked out like, okay, this team's trash, but it's aged pretty well. Georgia's still number 2 in the country. So, and Clemson's a lot better than they were. I think they'd have a lot more competitive game with Georgia now. I think it's just because it's Clemson and we were sick of them, with the Deshaun Watson years and the Trevor Lawrence years. I think everybody's just, they were right up there with Alabama as a power. I think people they're tired of talking about them, but I know they have 1 loss, but I think on a neutral site, they would beat Miami right now. I think they're better than Miami right now, and it's sad because I love Cam. I like the Miami story. They haven't been relevant in probably 20 years. In terms of being a top 5 team. So I like the Miami story, but I think Clemson's going to get them. Running backs, RJ Harvey, the number 3 fantasy running back. Of course, this guy's an absolute stud. They're playing Arizona. I think UCF gets back on track. They fired their D coordinator. About ready to fire coach. I think Gus Malzahn's on the hot seat. Me and Jay both think he's getting fired at the end of the year if they don't turn things around. So, what better way than RJ Harvey? He's the best player on the team, one of the best running backs in the country. I think they're going to smoke Arizona. A lot of it's going to be on his shoulders. We've talked about him a lot tonight. Mekhi Hughes is an absolute stud. They're playing Charlotte. He should rack up the yards, rack up a few. That's right. He's the number 9 fantasy running back. I mean, as much as we, especially Jay loves this guy. As much as we like him here, I mean, did anybody think that he was a top 10 fantasy back?
I actually, I actually found him last year, dude. I actually found him like
I know you did, yeah.
A freshman. I was like, dude, because I was like, dude, look how, I was actually hyping him up. I'm like, hey, dude, I mean, check the, here's a guy if you need a guy of your fantasy team. I mean, he was an offensive rookie last year, and he won, I think he was in the AAC. He won some awards there for being, the rookie for running for like 1,500
offensive freshman of the year. Yep.
Yeah, 1,500 some odd yards rushing, dude. I mean, for a freshman, I mean that you don't see that all too often.
No, the only thing now is to keep him there and not have some fucking Ohio State or somebody swoop in and offer him, a big NIL deal or something. So that's hopefully Tulane can keep him, because I think this year obviously they can't. They're kind of handcuffed. They're kind of boxed in. They're not going to be the G5 representative in the playoff, but there's always next year. And another year under his belt, with another year, maybe get a few more guys, get a little help, especially on the defense.
I wouldn't want to see him going anywhere else. I mean, I love watching Tulane football, and I mean, I love seeing him tear through defenses and stuff like that. I mean, the kid's special, and I mean, he's talented enough to where he could go to, another program. But I mean, I think the only downside if he does go to another program is how far, would they push him down or would they push him up? I mean, that's going to be the only thing with that situation there. I mean, look at Corral.
Look at Judkins. I mean, he had he was a beast at Ole Miss, and Ole Miss isn't, they're not that much smaller than Ohio State. He goes to Ohio State, and Judkins has been. He's been good at times, but he's been hit and miss. Do you really want to be? You really want to be Mekhi Hughes, who could be the best G5 running back in the country, right? Versus, do you want to just be another random guy in a 2-headed backfield for Penn State or for Ohio State? Some team like that. I agree with you. I wish he would stay, and I hope they can work something out with him to stay at Tulane. That'd be awesome.
Yeah, but that's my thoughts on him.
Jay, they're going to be calling. They're going to be coming for this guy.
Oh, I'm sure they will. I mean, unless he's, been around in the area or, gone to, lived his life around Tulane or something like that, be the only reason why he would maybe stay there, unless he came from a different area of the country. I mean, then he might, be like, all right, screw it, I'm going to go somewhere else where I might have a better opportunity. It all depends too, really. I mean, those are all the things that, we all don't know.
He's from Birmingham. So, UAB, that's Alabama, Birmingham. Like he wouldn't go. I mean, that's a move downwards going from Tulane to UAB. So, I mean, it would only be like maybe Alabama, LSU, program like that. Maybe something in the Southeast that would come after him. But yeah, hopefully he stays put. Ja'Cory Brooks. We're talking a lot about this Clemson Louisville game because I think it's going to be good. I think it's going to be a fireworks show. He's the number 8 fantasy receiver. So, and if Louisville has any chance in this game, a lot of it's going to be on his shoulders, I think. Why the hell not? Why the hell not? We're going to go with Ja'Cory Brooks, number 1 receiver for Louisville, number 1 target. And then the freshman phenom himself. Last year, Mekhi Hughes, now Jeremiah Smith from Ohio State. He hasn't like popped, like Ibuka. You're fine.
Sorry. I'm just watching, Liberty take another loss in the column.
They lost again? What the hell? With that Caden Salter, I mean, have fun bagging groceries or selling insurance, my man. Like
one more shitty game like this, we might have to blacklist his ass.
Yeah, I trust me. There's 10 guys on a list that I have a little fucking. I'm like, I'm eyeing. Caden Salter's on there because he came in with so much damn hype. He was like a dark horse Heisman candidate. Caden, like Liberty is going to go undefeated. All this bullshit, all this nonsense. He has not been the same guy as last year. Absolutely.
Jackson State has the same amount of rushing touchdown as Army does at 31.
That's unbelievable because we talk about Army all the time, and especially as many as Bryson Daly has. I mean,
yep.
Jacksonville State, man, that's a program on the rise. They really are. That's a program especially next year, we might be talking a lot more about. I like Huff, the quarterback. There's some pieces there for sure.
Yep.
Jeremiah Smith, he's got 8 touchdowns. He kind of has sneaky 8 touchdowns for Ohio State. I know Egbuka is kind of, he gets all the national attention. And I know he had that 3 touchdown game a couple weeks ago, but this kid might be better. He really is. I mean, it kind of goes without, because it's Ohio State. You expect these guys to hit, but as a freshman, already 8 touchdowns, he's going to end up with double-digit touchdowns, and they're going to beat. He's going to be a big part of the reason they beat Penn State this weekend. And he's the number 13 fantasy receiver. And we haven't had one mention of Jeremiah Smith all year. And he's up at, he's a top 15 fantasy receiver. It's incredible. But any closing thoughts on any of the receivers, Jay?
Yeah, he's going to be around. Jeremiah Smith is going to be around.
Jeremiah Smith's going to be a name to watch. I'm telling you, the next couple of years, he's going to be a name to watch.
Yeah, he's freshman, just like some of these, freshman quarterbacks that we've kind of mentioned, and he's going to be a guy that will more likely he'll be a guy we'll be drafting here in the beginning of next year. So this guy will be on our radar list. Probably I know it all depends. He could be he might be in the first round, second round talks, possibly more than likely. We'll just have to see who leaves, who goes, and whatnot, so it's very possible that, he'll be a guy that we all end up talking about.
Because, they're going to keep, I know Will Howard's like a 1-year quarterback. They're going to keep bringing in, either get a freshman phenom possibly, or probably more than likely they're going to bring in somebody else's quarterback, keep bringing in talented guys. So it's Ohio State's a machine. So he's gonna be a beneficiary of that, and I don't see him getting benched, or I don't see him moving onwards. So it's gonna be a couple of years of this. So in Dynasty, definitely a name to watch for the future. And these are the players to watch for Week 10. And Jay's got a few matchups here, a few big matchups. I don't know, Illinois. Some of the luster of Illinois is kind of fallen off a little bit the last few weeks. What are they? 5-2 now, 6-2, something like that. But
yeah,
Minnesota,
I don't.
I think the Gophers could pull an upset here at home.
Yeah, I would believe so. Just looking at all this here, Illinois, Minnesota's got a good defense. Illinois kind of got their asses handed to them by freaking the Ducks. So they're
smoked them.
Yeah, so another loss here, they could be looking out. Tulane could be up in here. So that Illinois is a little bit better offense. Too. Yeah, Illinois is a little bit better, a little bit better offense than Minnesota, but I think that's going to be a great game between both those teams there. But I think Illinois might just end up pulling out, but that could be an upset alert there, So Illinois could be, looking in the outside out. Iowa on the other hand, Texas Tech, Texas Tech can put up some points. If Iowa still wants to keep this going, Texas Tech is kind of like another Baylor. They're kind of like another Baylor that, it's a team you think you should be able to beat, but they actually put up some points.
They sling it. They can put up points. Yeah. No, they're very, very similar. Yeah, Texas Tech might have few more, few better players, but yeah, they're the same program. Baylor, they're gonna be competitive in most games and put up a lot of points. Yep. So Texas Tech their offense should keep it interesting, but I don't think they can. I think Iowa State's too good for them. I think if Iowa State's going to go down, it would be to like a BYU or a K-State or a Colorado. Like just a better Big 12 team than Texas Tech.
Yeah. And then we got MSU and Pitt. That's going to be a good game right there. 18 and 20. I like Pitt on this side. I mean, MSU, I mean, I know they got some offensive styles there.
SMU's like a 7.5 point favorite here. I don't know why. I mean, fucking Pitt just demolished Syracuse. SMU took overtime for SMU to beat Duke. So, I mean, Duke. So, I mean, what's Duke 6-2, I think. So Duke's solid, but so it's not a terrible win in overtime. But I think Pitt's better than SMU outright. I think Pitt should win by at least 10. I really do.
Yeah, I mean, with the offenses, weapons that they got, I mean, yeah, I would totally believe so. At that,
I think Jay. I think it's a crime that Pitt. I think it's a crime that Pitt is only ranked 18. I think they should be at least in the top. Maybe the 15th team in the country, something like that. I think they're a little undervalued at 18 for the rankings.
Yeah. I was just gonna look up here quick. Yeah, I mean Texas. Not look wrong one here. And I was looking at the Texas Tech is actually 5-3, and Iowa is actually 7-0. I was actually trying to find this game here quick so we can wrap up here quick. I mean Pittsburgh. I mean I know they got quite a few good guys. Let me look at the Syracuse game here quick because I know. Reed is a guy we talked about. He had looks like he kind of had a down game here this week here. Normally he's, getting a touchdown in most of these games. He's kind of their dual threat kind of guy. So, I mean, he puts up, over 100 some yards rushing, a little bit in the receiving game here and there. So, I mean, this last week was kind of a downfall. So maybe, maybe a rebound game for, Reed and some of the other guys at Pittsburgh here this week, because a lot of them they didn't have. I mean, they didn't even have over 40 yards in the passing game. So a lot of that was pretty late. Their offense kind of laid a stinker just a little bit in that aspect. But I like Pitt though, so I'm going to go with Pitt, Iowa, and I'm going to go with Illinois. And then the last and final game here, we got Ohio State and Penn State. I mean, I know. This one's going to be kind of a
welcome to my nightmare.
I don't know what to think about this game because we saw what Ohio State. I mean,
do you want to play a game?
I think that sounds better. I
want to play 4 of these, maybe 8.
If you think about what Ohio State did here last week, their offense really sputtered. They really put anything together. I mean, they had a couple touchdowns here and there. I don't know. Maybe Penn State is a better. I mean, I haven't had an opportunity to really watch a little bit of Penn State, but overall, just seeing what Ohio State did last week against freaking Nebraska, they kind of laid an egg, honestly. So I like Penn State in this situation.
Ohio State's gonna, yeah. I'm not Penn State. They're incapable of winning a big game. They can't. They had an opportunity last year at Michigan, lost. They're gonna lose this one. They'll still make the playoffs. And then they'll be one and done. That's why I wish of all the major teams, I almost wish Penn State would just shit the bed and lose a couple times just to knock them out because they're gonna be a one and done.
Yeah, I guess I can't really say that because I didn't. I mean, if I would have watched a little bit of Penn State, then I'd be like, I guess I can go back and kind of see some games here and there and kind of, watch a full length game and see, they
got pieces. I mean, they got, Singleton, the running back. He's like one of the top 10 projected NFL running back, in the 2025 class. He's a top 10 back in that class. Drew Allard, the quarterback's pretty good. Talked about Warren, the tight end. He's a stud. So, I mean, they got some pieces. Defense is always good like normal. They have all the pieces, man. They have all the players and the pieces. They're just going to find a way to shit the bed and choke another big game. It's going to happen.
All right. So I got Illinois, Iowa, Pitt, and then I'm going to go with Penn State here.
Okay. I got the Gophers, Iowa State, Pitt, and Ohio State.
Ooh, a little bit different, but we'll see how that goes. But yeah, it's time for us to actually get the show wrapped up here. I don't know. I hope everybody enjoyed what they saw. We gave you, but we like typical. We just a quick recap. All the time codes will be in the show show, so you can go take, so you can bounce around in there. Eli's gold star player, Dud, Blacklist. We gave you some props. We talked a little squad blitz. We actually, 6 players to watch for the weekend. Some notable games. Gave you some props and stuff like that too as well. So they're just a lot to digest if you're a fantasy or college diehard guy like us. It's just fun to talk about a lot of these different things. So. But I mean, yeah. If you like what you saw, give us a like, subscribe to us. Follow me at Algorithm Fan. Give you follow him too as well. I mean, I give you the top 4 guys for waivers. So you can follow me over there. I give you a little bit more to kind of take a look at, digest, and stuff like that. So don't be scared. If you guys got some questions, reach out. Don't. We also got a Discord, Instagram, Spotify, Apple. All those good juicy stuff. If you miss our audio, if you miss our live stream, we got the audio too as well. But yeah, I think it's time for us to get up out of here. I mean,
There's the door.
Liberty,
There's
Liberty,
the door.
Liberty actually freaking
I'm gonna kick them out of the door. I'm gonna kick them straight out of that door, Jay. They're I want to blacklist the whole team. Yeah, you want a spoiler alert for week 11? Caden Salter, time's ticking, bud. I'm gonna look at your stats, and if they're not up to par, you're going on the blacklist. You'll be where Luther Burden was at this week, punk. All right.
Right. All right. Well, I suppose it is time for us to get out of here. I hope everybody has a wonderful Wednesday night. We'll be back next Wednesday. So
Yes, we will.
yes, we will be. So in due. So I think it's time for us to get up out of here. From Outer Rhythm, I'm Jamie. That's Eli. We'll catch you guys next time. Later.